Hello and welcome to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I am Casey. And today, these are the lucky horseshoe earrings that I will be making. Most of the components came from the treasure box from Potomac Beads. I will also be reviewing the 3 patterns that came in the kit edition from Potomac Beads. And if you are interested in the Potomac Bead Company, I will have all the information in the description box below. I definitely encourage you to go check them out. Not only do they have amazing bead boxes, they also have a fantastic website that has just about anything you can think of for the jewelry making hobby. So if you would like to see how these lucky horseshoe earrings came about, and if you would like to hear my review of the 3 patterns for this month, the month of April 2024, then stay tuned. I'm going to start with the tools that I will be using. I have 1 set of cutters, 1 size 10 beading needle, my thread zap 2, and I will be using 8-pound fireline in the color Crystal, which is this white color. And I want to briefly mention my tool set. It is the Casual Comfort tool set. And as the name suggests, these tools are very comfortable to use. A lot of times jewelry making tools will be like this, just a little bit smaller. And as you can see, the grips are quite a bit smaller too. These Casual Comfort tools just seem to be made for adult size hands. And these smaller tools certainly function, but for me, I just can't imagine using anything else at this point. So I will have these tools linked down below, along with everything else I use that did not come from the bead box. I will also link below the opening video I did for the Treasure Edition, and it will have a detailed description of everything I used that came from the box. So the earrings I'm making today, I'm calling the Lucky Horseshoe earrings. And here is the one that I made. As you can see, it has this drop form that came in the box. And I just absolutely love how this brick stitch came out. And of course the fringe here at the bottom and in the center. So here is the one I finished, and we will do the other one together. So the main part of the brick stitch around the drop is going to all be 8/0 seed beads. And I'm using this one that came in the box in the color Opaque Tea Rose. And the other 2 I'm using from my own stash. And I have the same color here as the Tea Rose in 11/0. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply tie my thread in a knot around the drop. So I'm going to go through. And when I get to the end, I only need enough thread to make a knot. So you want to get as close as you can to the end. And then just make a regular over-under knot like you're tying your shoes. And then of course you can scoot the knot to where you want it. I want to start it up here on the side. And I'm going to do it one more time to make the knot. Just like that. Then I'm going to hold that tail, get kind of close, cut the tail off. Just like that. Then I'm going to take my thread zap, push that button, and melt the end of it. Push it down. And now we're going to start our brick stitch. I'll pick up 2 8/0s in the first color, put it through, and pull it all the way down. And then when the beads get there at the end, you want to put your needle back through just the first one. Like that, and pull it through. And then you might have to kind of just move them around a little bit to get them in place. Once you start getting 2 or 3 on here, they're not going to move as much. So when you put it back through the last one, they should fall side by side, just like that. And from here on out, in this first row, you're going to pick up 1 at a time. So pick up 1 8/0, push it down, put it back through, and when you pull it all the way through, you're going to put your needle through the opposite way of that 8/0, just like that, and pull it through. And each time now, they should just fall in right next to each other, just like that. So we'll do one more together. Pick up 1 more, push it down, Put it through the form, and when it gets up to the end, put your needle back through the opposite way and pull it through. And it should fall in again right beside it, just like that. And you're gonna do the same thing all the way around till we get to here. And once I get there, we'll meet back up. And here we are. I have the entire first row, just like that. So now we're gonna start in with that second color in that second row. So I'm gonna flip it over because I am right-handed. And right now we're coming out of that last one that we just added, and I pick up 2 of the next color. So I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna go through that second thread right here, right? You wanna skip that first one, and then go through right underneath that second one right there, and then pull it nice and snug, and then you're gonna go up through just the last 8-0. And when you pull it snug, they should kind of lay, you might have to push them a little bit, they should lay right next to each other. And for the rest of the row, you do it one at a time. And I'm gonna go under that second thread right there. That next thread is what I meant. I'm gonna go back through the underside of that bead. Pull it through. And then they should just stack, just like that, all the way around. We'll do one more. Pick up one more, go to the next thread, pull it through, and then when it gets close like that, go back through the underside of the bead, and when you pull it down, it lays right next to it. We'll continue like this, and we'll meet up after we make the second row. And I want to cut in right here because I forgot to mention this. Because this is a curve like this and we're not making just a straight line, you're going to have to add like an extra bead or 2 along the way. Like right here where I'm at, there's a lot of extra thread right here where if I went to this next thread to add the next one, you would start to have gaps in between your beads, and you definitely don't want that. So this is something you're gonna kind of have to eyeball to see how much space you have and how much thread is left over in between because it's curving so sharp. So right here, I'm going to add a second one to the same thread bridge here, the same thread that I just added this one. Just like that. Put it through. Same thing, go back underneath, and it should lay nicely just like that. And now when I add the next one, I can go into that next thread. So you might have to add just like 1 or 2 additional beads in between, where if you notice, there's a lot of extra thread on one, and if you went to the next one, then there would be a gap in between the beads, and you definitely don't want that. So I'll go ahead and put this one, go back through, and you can see it lays really nice, just like that. And so for the next few, I should be able to just go to the next thread each time, and then somewhere over here, because it's curving so tight, I'll probably have to add 2 to the same thread so that there are no gaps. All right, so now we'll meet back up when we get to the end. All right, so I've made it the second way around, and I think I want to say I had to add 3 additional 8-0 beads. It was either 3 or 4, I think 3, as far as filling in the gaps so that there wouldn't be any space. So that's what mine looks like right now. So now we need 1 more layer. So I'm gonna flip it over and then flip it up, and I'm gonna grab 2 8-0s of the final color. And then same as before, we're gonna go through, not the first, but the second stitch there, pull it through, and then when it gets tight, you're gonna go through just the last bead and pull it through, just like that. And just like before, you might have to kind of push it down and push it in place. And there you go. So now we're gonna add the next one, pick up 1 more, go to the next thread, pull it through. When it gets snug, go back through the bottom and pull it snug, and it'll lay right next to it. And this row is the same way as far as it's got the same sharp curve. So you're going to have to add an extra bead throughout here and there to kind of fill in those gaps. So same thing. All right, so now we're gonna add this row, and then when we meet back up, this is the final row and we'll do the fringe. All right, so here we are. And at this point, of course, we have the horseshoe. We have the horseshoe shape. So now we're just gonna be adding the fringe. And I see this part right here, and this part isn't quite as bad. This happened on my other one as well, where the ends were kind of sticking out a little bit. So I'm gonna show you what I did to kind of push those ends down. And to start off, what I'm gonna do is where it's coming out here, I'm just gonna go through the next one below it like this. And I'm gonna try to straighten up that thread so it's just right across the top. And then go right through to the one below that where it's sticking out at the top. So the only visible thread, I mean, other than the outside, of course, it just kind of continues around where there's that one visible thread on the outside. And honestly, in my opinion, with this line of thread across the top, kind of continuing across, it doesn't look bad. So I think that looks good, and it also kind of pushes these down where they're not sticking out like this side still is. So now we're going to be working on this piece of fringe here in the center. So I'm coming down out of this one right here, this 8-0, and I'm gonna pick up 3 11-0s and one of these shell type beads and one more 11-0. And I'm gonna push it all the way down. So it kind of looks like that right here. I'm gonna skip that bottom 11-0 and go back up the blue bead and not go through those 11-0s at the top. Pull through. So it's hanging just like that. And I'm gonna pick up 3 more 11-0s, and I'm gonna kind of twist it here a little bit just because of the angle. And I'm gonna go through all 3 of these here on that last row. You see there, all 3 of the 8-0s there on that last row. Pull it through. So there, it's hanging right there in the center, and I'm coming out. And just like we did on the other side, I'm coming out of this top one. I'm gonna come around and go through the one below it. And if you can go ahead and go through both of them. And when you pull it down, you might have to maneuver the thread a little bit. And that way it pulls the 8-0s down on the other side, just like that. And now you wanna make it come out the other side. So these 2 are coming out of the front. Now we're gonna be doing the same thing coming out of the back. So I have 3 11-0s, and I'm gonna go through that blue bead, just like that, pull it through, and that gives you the 3 on this side. So they'll be on both sides. And I'm gonna go through that 11-0 at the bottom, back up that blue bead, and pick up 3 more 11-0s. And then I'm gonna go back through the 8-0s on this side, just like that. I go through that last 8-0. All right, so now there's that fringe that falls in the center, just like that. And now I'm just gonna make my way down to the bottom. So I'm coming out of this one here on the side. So I'm just gonna go up and down these on the side. So down this one, up the next one, till I make my way down to the fringe at the bottom. I mean, you can tie it off and just start a new one down here, but it's kind of a small piece as an earring, so it seems to me it would be easier just to kind of make your way down. So as you can see, the 4 fringe across the bottom, if you look at the 8-0s it's coming out of, it's gonna be every other one. So when you find the one that you're gonna start out of, you skip one, go through the next one, skip one, go through the next one, and so on. So you wanna make sure, because you might not have the exact same number of seed beads as I do, that it's in the center as much as you can make it, just like this. So for me, here's where I'm gonna have my first one coming out right here, and it's gonna be every other one to right here. So here's how you add this fringe. So I pick up 2 11-0s, one of these larger beads, and then another 11-0, pull it down, and then you're gonna skip that 11-0, go back through the larger bead, and back through the 2 11-ohs and pull it where it's nice and snug, right up against it. And then, since you want to be coming out of this bead, you can't just go up and then down and then up, because you'll be coming back up the wrong way. So what I do is I go back up this bead where I'm at, just like that, up the blue bead in the next row, down the blue bead right next to it, and then I can go out the next one like that, just like that. And that's how I'm going to add the next 3. So instead of going up and down the 8/0s at the bottom, I'm going to go up into that blue row and scoot over, and that way I can go out the opposite one. So we'll meet back up after we add the 3 more fringe. So here I have just added that 4th one, and I am now coming out of the 8/0 right above it. I just went right back through that one at the top. So at this point, the earring is done, so we just need to tie it off. So I'm going to go back down the 8/0 right next to it, and then I'm going to tie a knot right there on that thread bridge. Once we get a little loop, put it through the loop, and then you can pull it pretty snug. One more time for the knot. Pull it through. Just like that. And I'm going to get my cutters in there. Cut it off. Get my thread zap. Melt down all that extra. Push it down. And there it is. So let's quickly put on an ear wire. Use my round nose pliers, open that just a little bit, and this earring is the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way it faces. So I put it on that loop, close it back, and just like that. So here are the Lucky Horseshoe earrings, and now we will move on to my review of the kit edition. So the first one that I made was the linked sunburst necklace. And here is mine. I made it pretty exact to what the directions called for. I really do like the way it looks, and I like the different gemstones inside. These are 2-sided, so however which way the necklace falls, the gemstone in the center you can see. So it's really nice that way for each one of them. So it's really pretty. The one critique that I would have is the sunburst part of it around it seems very, very flimsy. So it's only 1 layer of seed beads, and it moves a lot. Now, I mean, that's a minor detail, but for me, the way it feels, if I were to wear it, I feel like these would move quite a bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of reaching, but I do love the way it looks. And I like how these gold seed beads kind of play off of these brown pieces. These are really nice. So I did watch the video version of this. I wouldn't say these were too difficult. It was, not too bad. I would say it falls into the pretty easy to complete category, but I did need to look at the video version just to kind of have a visual on how to complete it. So here is mine. All right, here's the first one, on to the next one. The second one I completed was the round duo and tublet eyeglass holder. And this one, I did not receive all of the parts. Here's mine. What I did not receive in the box were the 2 pieces on the end that actually go onto the eyeglasses. And just like I thought, once I emailed and I reached back out to them, I received them within a couple of days. So it was very quick, very seamless to receive this missing part. So this pattern was by far the easiest. I'm gonna say this took me about 10-15 minutes to make from start to finish. No, I did not need the video version. This was super, super simple, very quick, And it does seem pretty sturdy. So if you were to use something like this for your glasses to kind of hang them on the front of you, if you didn't need to have them on at that exact moment, I do think these would last pretty good. This was the easiest one by far. I do think it looks really nice. I like the different metallic colors of the tubelip beads. So here is the second one. On to the third one. The third one I made was the rosebud bead embroidery earrings. And here is mine. I made them pretty exact to the pattern. I would say I definitely needed the video version, and this set was probably the most difficult one for me, just because there's so many different parts to it where you had to put the front of it on here with different things like glue and, sewing with the wire. And then, of course, you had to put the leather backing on and the side on. So there was a lot more steps to this one. And then, of course, the fringe here at the bottom. I do like the way that it came out. I like the way that it looks, that leather part. And it's pretty thick when it's finished here because you have, of course, the leather and that felt in the middle as well. That's what the back of both of mine look like. All right, so now I'm going to try to get them all on screen. So here they all are, and I have to say this month's boxes were quite a bit of fun. Overall, I absolutely enjoyed putting these patterns together, and I really like how these horseshoe earrings came out. I think they look super cute, and I really like these kind of soft colors. I think it came out so nice. And I've said it before, but I really enjoy some of the patterns where it kind of takes me out of my comfort zone and I do parts that I don't normally do in my jewelry making hobby. I don't embroider a lot, so I really enjoy kind of stepping outside of what I normally do to create something. I just think these were so much fun to put together. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos just like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I absolutely love reading my comments. You guys are so kind, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.